Hello, everyone. Welcome. And this is another live session at Microsoft Zero to Hero, Microsoft Learn Community, your community. This is Saidal. I'm so happy that I'm host another session at Microsoft Zero to Hero. Another Saturday. I hope your Saturday was good so far, and hope you are going to enjoy your weekend with this session that we have today together with our speaker. So our speaker today, he was in this stage before with another topic, with another interesting topic. And today he's going to talk about another interesting topic around new idea, new services, and also AKS, Azure Kubernetes Services. So with no delay, as usual, I have my slides here. So today we have Kasun. So he's going to talk about Cloud Native Observability with Azure. Very interesting. And I'm pretty sure that you are going to learn a lot about a lot of good things around Azure and how you can have Cloud Native Observability in Azure, Cloud of Azure. So let me go with my slides. Yes, perfect. So as usual, Microsoft Learning Community, Microsoft Learn Community. This is a vibrant and also a global network where you learners can connect with Microsoft experts, build the skills, and achieve your career goal through collaboration and support, of course. So this community is designed to empower your learning and through direct engagement, whether it's by exploring the latest tech updates on Microsoft Learning Hub or joining learning rooms like Microsoft Zero to Hero. And basically it's topic focused space where you can ask your question or participate in discussion, which is amazing. And also you can have both virtual session like we have today and ask your question through the chat inside learning rooms. So it's all here and in an inclusive and diverse environment that's tailored to help you reach your full potential. So if you want to learn more about Microsoft Learn Community, aka.ms/Microsoft Learn Community, the short link. And also, if you want to learn more about other learning rooms like Microsoft Zero to Hero, you can check out aka.ms/learning rooms. And if you like to join Microsoft Zero to Hero learning room, aka.ms/join Zero to Hero is the short link that you can join our community. Of course, make sure that you are subscribe us on YouTube, because you can get connect and you can get the latest update of each session that we are hosting. So yeah, I'm so happy to announce that our Microsoft Zero to Hero November calendar is here. And in this month, we are celebrating Women in Tech. And we have incredible lineup, as you can see, of speakers ready to share their inspiring journey, insight, and experiences with us. So it's going to be an amazing month of learning, connecting, and empowerment, and we'd love you to be part of this. So make sure that you register at you can find the registration link in our LinkedIn page. So make sure that you register for all of sessions. Before we go for the next slide, let's have a check on a promotion video that we have created for this special month. Yeah, let's grow together. So we are looking forward to see you all in all of sessions that we are going to have in November. So my actually last slide, as always, we expected you in Microsoft Zero to Hero community live session to be aware of others, be friendly and patient, be welcoming and respectful, be open to all of questions and viewpoints, be understanding of difference, and be kind and considerate to others. So with that said, I'm going to bring Kasun to stage. Hey, Kasun, welcome back to
Hey,
our stage, man.
yeah, it's good. It's great to be back.
Yeah, we are happy to have you again here, and we are going to learn a lot from your experience from your knowledge. And yeah, thanks again that you accepted our invitation again to be in Microsoft Zero to Hero stage. So before you start, people, I just need to mention it again. You already know, I think. So ask your questions from Kasun, and at the end of the session, he will choose the best question, and the best question, the winner, will get the 50% of discount on any type of any type of best question in the comments. So yeah, I hope one of you be the winner. So with that said, Kasun, stage is yours,
Yeah,
man, and we are here to learn from you.
okay. Thank you very much. So, uh, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon to anyone who are joining from the around the world. So today we are going to talk about cloud native observability with Azure. So, uh, I have very interesting demos and slides about describing about what is how we can use observability with Azure, right? So we'll explore together. Right? Okay. So little bit about me, who I am. So I'm Kasun Rajapakse. I work as a DevOps engineer and a consultant in Netherlands. So I'm a Microsoft MVP for Cloud Native and Docker Captain as well. So I have multiple certifications from um, Azure as well as Kubernetes and Terraform and others as well. So I always like to learn new things and share my experience and my knowledge with community. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. So we will see what is observability. Then we will discuss what are the key concepts around cloud native observability. Then we'll see what services that we we can use for observability in Azure. Then we will see how we can use observability services to monitor Azure Kubernetes services, and at the end we will see some best practices around observability. Okay, so um, I think if you talk about what is observability, um, it is actually a way of understanding your internal state of your system in overall by using different type of uh, outputs in the sense like logs, metrics, and traces, right? And I think you already familiar with the terms monitoring, right? So if you think about traditional monitoring, we will we will only uh, act for some kind of incident or a state of the applications, right? But in the observability, it is going beyond the traditional monitoring um, because by using observabilities, we can provide get a deeper insight into the application behavior and the health, so we can identify trends and patterns how your application behave in future and as well as at this current stage, right? So it is very good to implement observability in your microservices or your cloud native application in general. So then in before you will get a lot of insights how your application behavior in a certain scenarios, certain stages, or specific kind of um, incidents, right? So then you can act upon that uh, more easily, and you can be proactive before these kind of incident become a uh, major incidents. So you can work on that them and resolve these things. When you talk about observabilities, there are three main pillars that we can identify. One is metrics. So I think most of you all know about what is metrics. It's kind of a numerical data representation of your system performance, right? For example, CPU usage, memory consumptions, then the network uh, usages, and there are a lot of metrics you can use to identify the state and the behavior and the trends of your applications, right? Then logs also very important. So it's like a text-based record that provide different context about different events that are happening in your applications, right? For example, if your application is having errors or giving warnings, then these by using these logs you can see these errors, and you can identify why these errors are coming, and you can act upon these errors uh, to resolve those incidents, right? Then the traces also very important. So traces is a way of identifying how your uh, how how your application behave with multiple components, right? So it's like tracking mechanism uh, of the request, how the request is flow between multiple services within your application, right? So if you have a microservice application, right, then if that if your request is coming to the front end, then it will go and communicate with other different services within your microservice environment. Then uh, it'll may succeeded or it will fail. So uh, then by using traces, you can track how that specific request flows around your system. Right. So when you talk about key concepts of cloud native observability, we can mainly we use cloud native observability with microservice architecture, right? So if you have a microservice architecture, because if you are using distributed system like microservices, then monitoring and debugging will be complex because it is using different services to communicate, and different services are using different uh, way of logging or different languages. They are built on different languages or different platforms. So therefore, when you do monitoring and debugging, it will be a little bit complex. So uh, to reduce that complex, we can use observability uh, to monitor them in a cloud native way, and you can use observability for um, as solution to track your health and performance of a different component, microservices component in your environment, right? So then another concept we can use is scalability and elasticity, because a lot of observability solutions can add up to services scales up and down. So because if you are using like Kubernetes or microservices or containers, then you know that when there's higher loads or high capacities requests are coming, then your infrastructure will be dynamically scaled and up and down. So your observability solution should be uh, able to track those scalabilities and elasticity and i- provide insights about it. And another thing is real-time monitoring. So it's very important when you're doing observability and if you're running a distributed application uh, to have immediate feedback on your application performance and about issues and because then as engineers or as a team you can proactively troubleshoot these issues and incidents and make your application available for your end users, right? So real-time monitoring is very important for critical applications. Okay. So when you talk about services which we can use in Azure for observability, there are multiple services that you can use. So these different services are built for different workloads. Some can be used in multiple workloads, but some are specifically for specific type of workloads, right? So in general, so you can take all your observability tools like monitoring tools are available in Azure Monitor, right? So it's uh, one single place in Azure that you can see all of your monitoring infrastructure in application infrastructure or Azure infrastructure or your application through Azure Monitor, right? So in there you can find different solutions related to Azure which can use for monitoring. So Azure Monitor can use to collect and analyze metrics, then the logs and traces from different Azure services. Then based on that, you can take different actions like such as you can create alerts based on that, or uh, you can use alerts and you can use automations to remediate those issues. Then you have another solution called Azure Application Insight. So Application Insight is an application performance monitoring tool from Azure platform. So it's basically used for mm, to monitor your application's behavior and how the application performance and collect traces that are related to your application, right? So application insight is a very good tool for if you need a APM solution to get more insight and look into your applications very closely, how it's performing, right? So this can be used with Azure AKS applications as well, and application insight support distributed tracing, and it will show you live metrics and real-time insights as well. So application insight also can integrate with OpenTelemetry for uh, ingesting traces and other monitoring and metrics data. Then you have Azure Log Analytics. So it is very one of the very popular services in Azure because Log Analytics is like a centerpiece for a lot of uh, observability components in Azure, right? So if you are using security tools as well, Azure Log Analytics is using. So it is kind of a centralized log management and analyze service in Azure. So if you want to uh, send different kind of logs from Azure services, then you can use log analytics to send those logs into log analytics workspace. From there, you can use Gusto query language. We also call it as KQL queries to query those logs and create dashboards or alerts based on these uh, logs, right? So log analytic is not only for logs. You can send metrics as well into the log analytics workspace, right? It is possible. Then you can create your own workbooks or dashboards based on the Gusto query languages, Gusto query uh, language, right? Then and it has very powerful querying and correlation of with Gusto query. So if you have different sources, as I mentioned, you can send you can integrate locality with different sources within Azure, like Kubernetes. Then you can use diagnostic logs. Then you can send event actually activity logs. Then you can send Prometheus logs as well. There are different options available, different sources that you can send logs into the log analytics and active direct logs as well, right? So it's a very important tool when it comes to the monitoring and observability. Then next we have Azure Managed Grafana slash Prometheus service. In Azure, it is really recently announced service in Azure, right? So if you are familiar with open source Grafana and Prometheus, this is a service which managed service which Azure offers you to use for manage monitoring cloud native application like containerized application like Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes Service, and other uh, monitoring metrics, right? So in Azure Managed Grafana and Prometheus, it allows us to send Prometheus data into Azure monitoring workspace. Then we can use Managed Grafana service to visualize those in a very uh, meaningful dashboards, right? So then you can have a holistic and um, overall view how your application behavior from these dashboards, right? So managed Grafana can integrate manage Azure Manage Prometheus as well as other uh, integrations as well like Azure Monitor and those kind of things, right? So we will see these different components in detail in upcoming demos. So then you will get a good idea about what these components are. Okay, so now we are coming to our first demo. So in this first demo, we will see what is Azure Log Analytics. Then we will see what is Azure Monitor and Azure Application Insight, how we can use those for observability. Okay, so if you want to access Azure Monitor, right? So it is available in the Azure platform, right? So in here, if you go to the uh, search option in the portal, if you type monitor, then you can access the uh, Azure Monitor service. Or if you go to the services section, then under the monitor, you can find all the monitoring services as well. Here you can see the Azure Monitor. Right. Then when you come to the Azure Monitor, there are a lot of components here, right? So in here you can see the alerts that are configured in your environment, right? So you can see different alerts rules that are configured in your environment as well, right? Then it'll show you like a overall view, what are the critical alerts and warning alerts based on the alert severity you configured. You can see the overall picture in here. Let me see. But I will show you how to generate alert here. Okay. Then under the metrics sections, you can create like a chart by selecting different metrics in Azure services, right? For example, if I go here, then if I search for virtual machine, right, then it will show you only the virtual machines that are available, right? So if I select this Hyper-V VM in here, then you can click and apply. Then you can see different metrics related to that virtual machine. So then you can select one of these metrics and see, like for example, CPU, right? So if I select percentage of CPU, right? So then you can see the behavior of my VM CPU usage, right? So if I apply for the last 4 hours, so you can see how my CPU is uh, behave, right? Then if you want to create a rule, then you can click new alert rule here. Then you can create a rule like here. Then you can select the uh, threshold. Then you can create action. Which type of action do you need to do? Such as if you want to notify someone, or if you want to run a logic app, or if you want to create a service now in incidents, kind of a thing can be done from the this action group section. Then you can fill up where, about the description and the severity of that alert. Then finally you can go and create the alert. And additionally, you can save this into a dashboard if you already have a dashboard or a workbook or Grafana dashboard. Then if you want to say pin it to the or set it to a workbook, then it's also possible. Then under the logs, you can see the logs, right? So you can select which log analytic workspace you are going to use, right? Then based on that, you can create your quest to query language and extract the data that you need. Then the workbooks are very interesting because from the workbooks is kind of a dashboard, but you can have more visibility and more uh, interactive way of uh, showing your mm, performance metrics, right? So for example, if I want to see the key metrics, let me see whether I can see some metrics here, right? Yeah. So here you can see in the key metrics workbook, you can see I have overall view. Then I can see the key metrics such as my CP percentage and the disk usages and those kind of things. Then you can see which regions my workloads are running. Then the resource health as is always, right? So you can see because the other VMs are shut down, but you can see my one of my VM is available, right? So you can see it's as green. So likewise, there are already pre-built workbooks available here, right? But it's always possible for you to create a new workbook from this place, and you can use your own metrics around it, right? Or you can use a community GitHub repository which has a lot of workbooks available for you to use as a template. Then we come to the insight section. So in the insight section is have a lot of combination of multiple uh, monitoring solutions, observability solutions, right? So for example, if I take the applications, so here you can see your app inside workspaces, right? So here you can use this can be used to see your APM metrics related to your application, right? So in this example, I will show you I have a workspace called observability demo app insight, right? So if I click that app insight, then you can see uh, some key metrics that you need for your application, right? Such as fail request rates, then the server response times, then the server request, total server requests, and the availability of your applications, right? But when you configure application inside in your application, you need to use SDKs based on your application language. So based on the SDK and the configurations that you added to the application to capture these data, um, uh, then it will show you a lot of additional data in application inside, right? Without using SDK and configuration in your application, you will not get a good insight in application inside. So therefore, when you are working with APM, you always has to instrument your application to collect those data and send it to the application inside, right? So in this example, I have a very simple application, right? So running, then here there are three components are communicating each other. So in the application inside, there's a section called application map. So this is very useful when you want to, if you have a lot of services communicating each other, and if you want to know how the connections are happening, so you can get like a overall view how the applications communicating each other, right? So here you can see from this sample uh, RabbitMQ processor, when it communicating with sample time API, you can see there are some latency happening in this connection. So you can see that latency is there. So then you can go and see why there's a latency. Even if you click this one, you can get more information about uh, what is causing those issues, right? Then you can see the other components as well, then other external communications as well, and how many requests that are communicating with each other. So the good thing about here is when you click each of these nodes, it will show you failing requests and slow requests, right? Then uh, request codes, right? So then you can do more investigation from here as well. So for example, if I want to see this fail request, so I can go and click investigate the failure. Then you can go and see, you can see there are different endpoints are failing. So if I click here, you can see these failed requests, right? So these are like tracers, right? So then you can see the entire trace, what's happened. So the call stack, the error code, then you can get an overall idea about what's actually happened and why it's failed that request, right? Then the live metrics also good, but I think in my this demo I don't have live metrics configured. So if you have the live metrics configured instrumented, so then it will show you the live metrics as well. So in the transactional search is the place you can do traces, search traces, right? So traces is here you can see all the traces that are set it to the application inside. So you can see the trends, right? Um, then here you can see requests, traces, dependencies, and exemptions, and other categories, right? So here you can click one of these traces, right? Then you can drill down the traces timeline. Okay, this one doesn't have anything. Let me check another one. Let me check traces. Yeah, likewise, you can see how much of its time to take to communicate that request. Likewise, you can see group view here as well, so you can get more idea about your requests. So here you can see it is communicating with other services like so RabbitMQ is communicating with Type. So then you can investigate more about it. Okay, so availability also can be configured in App Insight, so you can check availability of your application. So in the failures, you can see all the failure codes like 500, 404 likewise. So then you can get more idea about which endpoints are failing. Right? Under the performance, also you can see how much is taking the duration of the endpoints, how the response for each of these endpoints, right? Yeah. So then met in here you can click workbooks. So there are a lot of good workbooks like failure insight workbook is good to understand the total count of failure requests and what are the success rate as a percentage. Likewise, the performance analysis also very good workbook. So you can see your uh, P95 percentile and the median and mean response time for different endpoints. Okay. Likewise, there are other monitoring like virtual machines. Then if you want to see the storage account monitoring, so you can see the latency and capacity view as well. Okay. For the containers, I will keep, I'm not going to dive. I will show you and in future in next demo how to do the container monitoring. Then in the networking monitoring also you can configure different monitoring like load balancer monitoring, the network interface monitoring. Then you can configure network security groups for monitoring as well. Then likewise, there are different other services you can use like Key Vault, Cosmos Deep if you have, you can monitor from here. So it's a good place for you to have overall view about your observability and monitoring on your services. So Microsoft will add other services in here in future. So when they have a need, they will add uh, monitoring for here. Like the service bus is still in preview because it is a new one, right? Okay. So next we'll go and see log analytic workspace. So for example, I have multiple log analytic workspaces. So if you go to log analytic workspace, you can use a query to get different logs, right? For example, if I want to get logs related to Kubernetes events, right? So I can click this one, this table, select this table, then I can run the query. Doesn't have anything. I have the other table have anything. Yeah. So likewise, you can see Kubernetes event table have a lot of events related logs related to Kubernetes events. So likewise, you can configure different um, logs uh, log streams into log anti workspace. Then you can build your own query queries such as like, so if I want to do a filtration, then I can filter based on the cluster name. Then I can put like then I will reduce it to 1 hour. Then I will run the query. Then it will go and execute this query and still check whether there are any clusters name with demo, content demo, but I don't have one. So yeah, therefore it is not showing anything. Right. So I think you got the idea. So here you can do a lot of query, right? Then you already have pre-built queries like the containers, right? So for example, if I want to get the container CPU, then I can click run here. Then you can see the different containers CPU metrics as well. Right. Okay. I think you got a good idea about those services. So when you like monitoring in Azure, actually in general, so we can use different ways to monitor different services, like as I mentioned. So this is kind of a overview diagram how we can use monitoring for different solutions, right? So for example, if you want to monitor like Kubernetes, then activity logs or container insights, then you can use log analytic workspace for that. So then you can send all of your logs into log analytic workspace. Then based on the log analytic workspace, you can create log alerts to notify um, different teams or your um, application owners. Then monitoring, you can use if you're using Prometheus metrics, right? Like manage Prometheus service. Then you can use Azure Monitor Workspace. This is only supporting Prometheus metrics at the moment. So then you can send those Prometheus metrics from your containers. If your container is configured to send Prometheus metrics, expose Prometheus metrics, then you can send them into the Azure Monitor Workspace. Then by using Grafana and Prometheus alerts and alerting rules, Prometheus alerting rules, then you can notify um, for alerts and generate alerts based on the events, right? Then related platform metrics, then you can use Azure Monitor Metrics. Then from there you can use alerts related to platform related metrics, right? For example, if you take VM, then by default Azure will give you a platform related metrics that you can monitor the status of the VM or CPU memory of the VM, right? So these are we call platform metrics. So these metrics can be can be sent to the Azure monitor metrics, and then you can trigger alert based on that. Okay. Then we come to the monitoring microservices on AKS, right? So when you're talking about microservices and monitoring it, we are facing some challenges, right? Because uh, in microservices we have a lot of moving parts. That means different components talking to each other continuously. So therefore, when you're observing them, you should have a way of tracking that request or flow uh, to the entire life cycle of that application request, right? So for that, we need to use some kind of uh, monitoring solution, and it is another challenge is it needs a unified observability, which can achieve it through all the services within your microservices, right? So what we can do is actually we can use Prometheus managed service for collecting metrics, right, as a solution. So then you can export them into log analytic workspace, or you can send it to Azure Monitor workspace, um, Prometheus workspace. Then you can get a good insight about the metrics related to the AKS and the uh, microservice or the containers within the cluster. Then other one is application inside SDK. So if you configured your microservice to uh, get deeper insights on your application's behavior, like request and performance, right? Then you can use application inside SDK and instrument your application to export those metrics into the app inside. Then you can use Azure Monitor for containers. So it's a kind of a solution allows you to monitor a case cluster, and from there you can see the health, performance, and logs related to the cluster as well. Okay, now we'll see how we can use Azure Managed Prometheus and Grafana for a case. Then we'll see how we can use container inside. Then we can see logs in log analytics workspace, and we can see application traces as well. Okay, so first what I'll do is I have my demo. I have two AKS clusters running, right? So these AKS cluster contain different workloads running applications, right? So here you can see application called contain conference apps, right? So these are different applications that are running in my um, cluster, right? So what we'll do is we will see how we can monitor this cluster through Azure Managed Prometheus, right? And Grafana. So first, what you have to do is actually you need to have a Azure Monitor workspace, right? Then from Azure Monitor workspace, you can create Azure Monitor workspace. Then what you need to do is you need to add your add your clusters into Azure Monitor workspace, right? Then Azure Monitor workspace will create different uh, rule groups, right? So if you are familiar with Prometheus, you know that they have a way of collecting metrics Then you can specify different uh, recording rules and rule groups. So then Prometheus will go and collect those metrics from the clusters, right? For example, this is example rule group, right? So in the rule groups, you can specify which metrics do you need to collect from the cluster. Then the if the cluster is exposing or the pods or the containers that are exposing these metrics, right? Then Prometheus will Prometheus will able to collect these metrics from there, right? Then after you connect your cluster, it will send all of these metrics into the Prometheus workspace. Then what you have to do is you should have a Grafana workspace created, manage Grafana workspace. Then after you creating a Grafana workspace under the configurations, right? I think it's under the no, it's in the integration section. In the integration section, what you have to do is you need to integrate your uh, Azure Monitor workspace uh, into the Grafana. So the Grafana can use Azure Monitor workspace as a data source to visualize dashboards in Grafana, right? Uh, then after that, what you can do is you can use the endpoint here, right? So you can use this endpoint to navigate into the uh, into your Grafana dashboard, right? When you create a Grafana workspace, by default there are a lot of dashboards are available, right? So in my case, I have this Prometheus manage Prometheus Grafana dashboard. Then I already configured Azure Monitor to the Grafana as well. Then Defender Cloud and other custom dashboards as well. So if you want to create a custom dashboard, it's also possible. You can create a custom dashboard from here. Or if you want to import a custom dashboard from the um, Grafana dashboard gallery, it's also possible to do. So if I go into this manage Prometheus section, uh, then you can see there are multiple dashboards pre-built to monitor your cluster. So if you want to see the cluster wide state, compute state, then you can click that dashboard. Then it will show you a overall view about your cluster state and the CPU usage for different namespaces, right? Then if you have quotas added to the namespaces, then those also shown here. Then the memory related metrics, then network related metrics also showing here, and storage related metrics also showing here, right? So if you want to see about like a port level, then you can go to port level dashboard. Then you can select one of the ports, right? Then you can see a port, select a port. Then you can see the metrics that are related to that specific port in the overall view, right? So these are very important when you're troubleshooting. You can identify patterns and behaviors. Right? Then additionally, I have configured my AKS cluster to send API server metrics as well. Even it's a managed service in Azure AKS is a managed service. Azure allows you to send API servers or manage components in Kubernetes. metrics layer to manage some components, send it to the Prometheus as Prometheus metrics. So you have a view of what's happening in the API server, how it's behaving, it's up to date, is it the availability of the API server and etcd, because those components are very important in Kubernetes. So you can get a view about it, right? So here if you go to the API server section, so you can see my API server health. Then I have 2 API server instances, and I can see the metrics related to my API server as well, right? So these are very important to know if something goes wrong in your cluster. Make sure that these are uh, running up and running as expected, right? Okay. Then additionally, I have my ingress controller, right? So not this one. I have my ingress controller configured. It's using Nginx ingress controller. So this Nginx ingress controller is using Prometheus endpoint to uh, expose ingress controller metrics. So therefore, I have a separate dashboard to view the status of my ingress controller, right? So here you can see my status of the ingress controller. So you can see total request counts, connections, then success rate of the connections, then the request volume, how much of request is coming, and which service this request is coming. So this is coming to Prometheus Stack Grafana service uh, in my cluster. So the ingress success rates. So those are very important. So if you are, for example, if one of your service is failing, right, then you can identify from here which service is that is failing, right? Then here you can see a heat map, right? So the latency heat map, sorry, request latency heat map. So how much it's taking time for this specific request to respond, right? Then here you can see my certificate expiry. So it's also very important to make sure that your certificates are up to date, right? And you can see the transfer rate response percent as a percentile. So okay, we check I can no, not possible. So because I didn't configure that one. Yeah, it's also possible for you to configure criteria insights into the Grafana to view the logs as well. But it's also possible to see them in the log analytic workspace, right? Okay. So as a demo, so another thing I will do is what I'll do is I will initiate a incident. Then I will see how the Prometheus will act upon it, right, and sending some alerts, right. So for that I have a alert rule created on my Prometheus, right. So there's a rule here configured. This rule is keep node not ready. So what it'll do is it'll check this expression. So this is Prometheus metrics, right. So this will check whether my node is in a ready state, right. If it is not, then it will create a alert rule alert in Prometheus. Then this alert rule is actually configured with Azure Alerts. So it will send a email to me, and I can see the notification, and it will show you in the logic app what the logic app will do is it will send the team's message into the team's channel. Right? Okay. Let's see whether I can do it. Right. So okay. What I'll do is put it as present. Then that's fine. Okay. So what I'll do is I will go to one of my nodes, right? Then I will log into the node, right? I hope this will work. Let's see. So what I'll do is I will stop the kubelet in the node, because if you are familiar with Kubernetes, if you stop the kubelet, that means that your containers will not work, right? So because the kubelet is the one who responsible for managing the containers and keeping track of the state of the containers, right? So if the kubelet is stopped, that means your node is unhealthy, right? So then should get a alert, right? System CTL status kubelet. Okay, now you can see the kubelet is in a running state, right? What I'll do is I will stop it. When I put the stop, I will kick out of this terminal, because the node will be not working anymore, right? Okay, so in a few minutes, you will see the node become unhealthy, right? Yeah, you can see already. So here you can see the kubelet problem, right? That means this node is something wrong, right? So you can see in the events as well, the kubelet is not running, right? Then some point we will get a alert, right? Check the alerts. We have to wait some time here, right? Mm, yeah. Okay, let me check the alert is configured. Mm, have to go to the alerting rules. Okay, rules is enabled. Right? Yeah, its action group is configured. Yeah, it's already configured, right? So we have to wait at least 1 minute, because its condition is checking for a state in 1 minute, right? Okay, until this one is triggering, let me continue to other components, right? So here also, if you want to monitor the state of your Kubernetes clusters, so you can go to the container insights, right? That's one of the place that you can see your container data. So it's taking time to load. I don't know. Let's check here. If you go to the cluster, then in the insight section, I don't know why it's getting slow. Check my internet connection. I don't know why the portal is getting slow today because I see the internet connection is good. Yeah, just loading. Okay. Okay, let me try a different browser. Right. For now. I think it's a browser issue. So yeah. So if you go to the cluster, then if you go to the inside section, then here it will show you it will show you the overall status of the cluster, right? So how the cluster is as a cluster, how it's behaving, right? So for example, CPU utilization, memory, and other things, right? Then in the report section, there are some good information reports, right? So for example, if you want to see the mm, how your workload details are, right? Then here you can see uh, the different pods, yeah, how the different pods are using your CPU. Then the pod status, right? If the pods are running or if there are any restarts trends happening, so there is happening, then which pods that are happening, then Kubernetes events, right? So you can see there are 3 warnings, right? Think because this is because of the Kubernetes stop, right? Then if you have any persistent volumes attached to the nodes, then you see those details as well. So likewise, there are like network details in cluster optimization if you're using requests and um, request and limits. Those can be seen here. Then the anomalies, if the liveness probe fails, then it will show you which pods controllers are having these trends. So it is very important for us. So under the event anomalies, also you can see different event types that are getting from Kubernetes events, right? Then content optimizer you can use to set the limit and request for your different workloads, how it's behaving, right? Okay. Okay, let me check with the alert is created. Okay, not it. I think I have missed something in the alert. But if you have a proper alert rule, then it should trigger the alerts here and it will notify to the relevant action group. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. So when you use cloud native distribute observability, so what kind of best practices you can use? So you can use distributed tracing. So you can use open telemetry to send data into the log application insights or other Azure services which support open telemetry. Then automatic alerts and response. So you can use Azure alerts to send threshold for different key metrics. Then you can automate the incident response, like you can use logic apps, or if you have ITSM systems, you can integrate ITSM systems into the uh, alerts rules as well. Then you can use centralized log management is important. So you can use log analytic workspace to aggregate all of your logs in one single place from different services. Then you can easily correlate them each other and query the logs, and you can get better insights and out. And I recommend to use dashboards. You can use Azure Manage, Grafana, or Azure Monitor workbooks. So there you can see like a very meaningful way those metrics and logs, so you can have a good view about your application state and infrastructure state. Okay. So in conclusion, I think in in general, cloud native observability is essential. So for any modern distributed application, so I highly recommend to use that these services. Then and Azure has their own set of very interesting and comprehensive set of tools to achieve observability for infrastructure and application, and always use best practices when they can use, and then this will this will ensure that the reliability and scalability and performance of your monitoring solution, right? So yeah, there are other open source tools, and as well as commercial tools as well to monitor your application. So you need to pick your use case and identify your reasons, so then you can use it. Right. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's all. So if you have any questions, you can ask from me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kasun. Yeah. Thank you for the content and information that you shared with us about Kubernetes cluster in Azure Cloud Platform. Actually, we have some comments and questions. So I'm going to show them on screen one by one. We can start with this one. So ask the question is it possible to pass infrastructure as code-based Kubernetes clusters detailed to this Azure Container Insight platform using any sidecar or any mechanism if we deploy a Kubernetes cluster using Cluster API? Since I'm working in VMware Kubernetes platform, if we deployed it in Azure with AVS, can we utilize this insight function?
Um, for that, actually, VMware solution Kate platform, I'm not sure whether we can integrate with container insights, right? Because it is mostly tightly bind with AKS, but I I didn't use it, so I don't have much insight about it. I think you have to check with Microsoft documentation or ask from the Microsoft support or their responsive, because I don't have much insight about using VMware in Azure service and
Yeah, what I can suggest in this scenario, since I have several experience regarding hybrid environment and also Azure AVS solution. So basically, you can leverage Azure Arc. So based on Azure Arc scenario, you be able to onboard your solution and Kubernetes clusters from anywhere. It can be other cloud providers or even on-premise or even Azure VMware solutions to Azure Arc. And as soon as it's onboarded to Azure Arc solution, you can use all of these features that Kasun showed you based on
uh,
inside monitoring and so on in one glass plan of management. So I think that would be a good solution
yeah,
for
that's
this
good. Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So we have another question from Mehdi. The cost of analytics logs, which are part of Azure Monitor, is considerable. In which cases can we use other monitoring services from Azure to reduce the needs of analytics logs as much as possible? In the other word, what are the overlap between this service and the others?
Yeah, so mm, in this case, okay. This I think we need to consider what type of logs do we need actually. So that means it's not recommended to put all of the logs into the locality workspace, right? So you need to make sure that you need to filter the logs that are really necessary, right? Then send those logs into the Azure Monitor, Azure Locality Workspace. Um, yeah, some services can use with Azure Monitor, like for example, but most of the services you need to enable diagnostic logs, which you need to send it to Locality Workspace, right? So in Azure Monitor, you can see different services are mentioned like keywords, then Cosmos DB, that kind of things, right? So to see these metrics, most of them may need to configure the diagnostic logs, right? So then the diagnostic logs will be sent into the locality workspace. So in the Azure Monitor, we'll use that in there. So that's you need to consider which services actually you need to monitor from Azure Monitor and log analytics in there.
Yeah. We have another question from Mehdi. Sometimes ago, I deploy a platform where the log analytics functioned well under normal condition. However, by design, it generates more logs when a component fails. This behavior makes sense from a developer's perspective in typical scenarios. But when a component fails, it significantly increased the cost of the log analytics service. The problem is that many of these logs are duplicates of one another. Is there any Azure built-in way to ignore these duplicate logs to help reduce costs?
Mm, what you can do is uh, you can do a filtration from monitoring agent, right? So because this is using AIM agent, right? I think there's a AIM agent can configure to filter a specific type of logs, right? So if you are recurring logs are there, or you can do some kind of filtration from the monitoring agent, then the monitoring agent will drop that logs from the sending into the log analytic workspace. Um, yeah, sometimes it becomes more expensive because sending a lot of data. So that's what I mean. So you need to optimize how the application should logs uh, logging should be done, right? That means uh, in the application side also you need to configure to optimize the proper optimal way of logging if something breaks down, right? Just not sending everything into the output, right? So then from the locality agent side also you can do some filtrations, right? What type of logs that you need to send it to there. Yeah. Because
Okay.
that's the most common problem people have because they are sending a lot of data, then the locality workspace will increase the cost.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So basically, those were our questions that I can see in chat comment. Of course, we have had some conversation between people, mentioning some solutions that some of them experienced before. So yeah, if there is any more question, please send into the chat. Otherwise, I think we are done with this Saturday with this session. And of course, if you want to ask more questions from Kusan, don't forget to follow him in social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. So you can ask your question directly from Kasun. And also, if you comment out or send a comment on our YouTube channel under this recorded video, Kasun will answer to you as well. So I suggested you to rewatch this video again and enjoy what Kasun shared with us related the monitoring service. So Kasun, is there anything that you would like to share with us? Because I think there is no any more question. And for the last part, I want to ask you to choose best question from the question that we had in the comment.
Yeah. I think VMware one is very good because I didn't know that one. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So our winner is here. I hope I spell his name correctly or her name, Hanajaya. So we have your email address. We will contact you, send you the voucher, and then yeah, hope you all having good weekend and connect us again next session. And again, don't forget the November calendar, Woman in Tech in Microsoft Zero to Hero. Thank you
Okay.
so
Thank
much.
you. See you.
Yeah. Bye bye.